10/22/2021. Horror movie recommendations. Now, I promised I would recommend a movie that you always knew I was gonna recommend today. But before we get into that, if you got Netflix, you want to watch Vampire in the Bronx with Eddie fucking Murphy, okay? This movie is absolutely fucking ridiculous because they made a fucking parody of vampire movies because vampire movies got popular in the early 90s and shit. You know, Interviews with the Vampires, aka sexyvampires.com, and Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves and Gary Oldman's, right? So they made Vampire in the Bronx and like, yo, Eddie Murphy, you funny as hell, dude. Come to Vampire in the Bronx. And he's like, I'm going to do it very serious. And he did the whole movie like serious. Like there was just, he's not silly at all. He's this serious vampire in this goofball fucking movie. And like, I don't blame him for playing it with a straight face. Because Leslie Nielsen was in Dracula Dead and loving it. And that shit was a fucking riot. But Vampire in the Bronx, if you want to see Eddie Murphy playing a straight face in the silliest fucking movie you ever seen. All right. If you got HBO Max, speaking of silly movies, you got HBO Max, you want to watch Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness is the third entry into the Evil Dead series. And it doesn't make any sense because they're not in a fucking cabin. Okay? Evil Dead 1, they're in a cabin. Right? Evil Dead 2, he's in the same cabin. Evil Dead 3, a portal opens up to hell, sucks him into, like, medieval times. And there's Deadites. And he goes up to the thing and he says, Klaatu, you know, from War of the Worlds. Klaatu, Barada. And, you know, and then he turns into another him and he fights himself as him. And then there's, like, I don't know, the special effects are wacky because they just like tied a skeleton to a horse and then like slapped the horse on the ass. But Army of Darkness, it's an absolute classic. Okay, if you got Amazon Prime, the movie that you knew I was going to suggest this whole month and you're like, why ain't you saying anything about it? Chud, okay? And let me just touch on a small bit of why Chud is the most important horror movie of all time. See, if you don't know Chud is about, you know, New York City in the 80s when it was fucked up and Jason was there, right? But I think this was before Jason was there. And, like, there's homeless people, but then there's, like, extra homeless people called undergrounders. And the undergrounders live underground in the old subway systems. Like, they're more homeless than the homeless. Okay, they're super homeless. And they go to the soup kitchen to get soup from the guy from Home Alone. And they're trying to get guns and knives to protect themselves. What do they keep getting guns and knives to protect themselves from, right? Because they're getting eaten up by monsters underground. And nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. All kinds of homeless people and super homeless people, undergrounders, go missing. Nobody fucking cares. But when does everybody start paying attention? When does the media start paying attention? When does the fucking police start paying attention? Fucking City Hall starts paying attention. Some rich old white lady walking her dog goes fucking missing. And now they want to figure out what the fuck's going on. Sounds like this fucking Gabby Pepitito thing to me, doesn't it? Yeah. See, somebody's going to come back and watch this video in like a year or two and be like, what the fuck is Gabby Pepitito? And we're like, oh, that's something that we cared about in 2021. But that's exactly what's happening today. Women go missing every day. Sex trafficking happens every fucking day. But nobody gives a shit because it's poor people, right? But when this rich travel van life blogger goes, it's wall-to-wall news coverage. Chud fucking laid out the outline for this. Beyond that, and furthermore, okay, when they start pressuring the nuclear folks, what is going on? What is the truth of what's going on there? What is Chud? What is Chud? And the government comes out and they say it's contaminated waste, underground disposal, contamination hazards, underground disposal. And they're like, what the hell? You're putting chemicals? You're putting fluoride in the fucking water! You're putting fluoride in the fucking water, shrink my pineal gland, and they get all fucking pissed off. What the fuck? But in reality, the fucking government is fucking lying to you, bro. Okay? And CHUD really stands for Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers. Okay? That's what happens in the movie. They go to the government, and the government's like, here are the secret documents, we'll tell you everything. Freedom of Information Act. Freedom of Information Act. You know what that is. Here you go. Here's the documents you want. And they're like, oh, chemical waste underground disposal. Oh, okay. Yeah, really. It's Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers. So they get the verbiage, they get the symbolism together of people going fucking missing and nobody cares because they're poor and undesirables. And the only time somebody fucking cares is when some rich old white lady, the mayor's wife, goes fucking missing, right? And then they hit the nail on the fucking head where you go to the fucking government. Finally, when somebody cares, they go to the fucking government and they say, what the fuck is going on with fucking 5G? What's the shape of a fucking Earth? They're like, it's a fucking triangle. And you're like, I fucking knew it. When really it's an isosceles triangle. Or, you know, you get the... Yeah. Anyways, since we're getting weird, the number one movie you need to watch tonight is Santa Sangre. Now, I typically don't suggest for people to watch artsy type of horror movies. Like, when I suggest for you to watch a horror movie, I'm suggesting something that you're going to sit down. I'm suggesting a roller coaster for you to get on, right? Imagine me. I am at the door of the amusement park. And you're like, what should I do at the amusement park? You would be pissed off at me if I sent you to the fucking museum. You would be pissed off at me if I sent you to fucking the flower walk, all right? When the fucking 90-mile-per-hour roller coaster is right fucking there. But sometimes you go to the flower walk, you go to the peaceful sitting area, you go to Swan Lake, and somebody put nitrous on that motherfucker. And that's what Santa Sangre is. Santa Sangre is an artsy-fartsy horror movie, okay? It's about this little boy who grows up in the circus, and the tattooed man attacks his fucking mother. So the fucking mother throws fucking acid on the fucking tattooed man's genitals. So he cuts her freaking arms off before killing himself in the middle of the fucking street. Flash forward 20 years later, they have the little boy in a monkey cage. Like, he's in a crazy house, a mental institution, whatever, but there's a freaking tree in his cell with a fucking rope and a fucking, okay? And he gets out and he is possessed by his mother, but only possessed by her arms. His arms are possessed by her arms. And she wants revenge, so she starts... They kill a fucking elephant. You ever watched a movie where they kill a fucking elephant? They kill a fucking elephant in this movie. And you know what? This movie was made in the 80s. It really looks like they murdered a fucking elephant on fucking screen. They kill the elephant on screen. They push it off a fucking cliff. And cannibals, or whatever, maybe they're not cannibals if they're eating elephant meat, crazy poor people come out of the fucking jungle and eat the fucking elephant. And they show it in extensive detail. It's absolute fucking madness. But the end of it is like so fucking subtle and so fucking glorious. Like, it's a spoiler I don't even want to give you. But like the final scene, you're like, damn, these artsy dudes know what the fuck is up, dude. So, as far as what I'm watching today, I'm doing a triple header. House 2, and Houseu, because it rhymes. But for you, If you got Netflix, you want to watch Eddie Murphy being completely serious in a movie that's absolutely nonsensical, Vampire in the Bronx. If you got HBO Max, you need to watch Army of Darkness with Bruce Campbell being absolutely silly and nonsensical, an absolutely silly, nonsensical movie. If you have Amazon, you need to watch Chud, was a silly, nonsensical title for a movie, but really it speaks to what's going on in society in many, 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 many ways. And a guy tries to use a payphone and the guy eats the quarter, which doesn't make any sense at fucking all. The number one movie you need to watch today, if you have Tubi, some batshit crazy, artsy fartsy horror called Santa Sangre, where they kill an elephant and the lady's arms get cut off and his arms get possessed by the fucking, or his mother's arms, and a guy carves a tattoo of an eagle on his fucking chest and he falls in love with the bearded lady or something. Yeah. Come back tomorrow. We're talking about fucking Keanu Reeves. Peace.